my dear student. Today we are going to discuss about muscle tissue and nervous tissue. Muscle tissue. Yes, muscle tissue make up the muscles of our body. Muscles contract and relax and thus helps the body in its movement and its locomotion. Helps the body and its parts to move and in locomotion. Now, muscle tissues are of three types. Three types of muscle tissues are there. You can see in the picture. The first one, number A, is the voluntary muscles. Number B is the involuntary muscles, and number C is the cardiac muscles. Now all the muscle tissues are made of long fibers. You can see the muscle tissues are made of long fibers. Now the first muscle tissue, that is number A, is known as striated muscles. Why? Because it is having striated marks or dark bands. Here you can see these dark bands are present in the fibers of the muscle, for which it is known as striated muscles. Now this muscle is attached to the skeletal system or to the bones of the body, for which it is also known as skeletal muscles. The muscle fibers are having many nucleus, so it is also called as nucleated. Now the function of these muscles are under our control. Yes, you are very right that we can move this muscle according to our will. So it is also known as voluntary muscles, because we can move these muscles according to our will. These muscles are found in every parts of our body, especially in arms, legs, face, neck, fingers, palm, where the parts we can move according to our will. Next we come to smooth muscles, that is number B. Number B is known as smooth muscles because see here in number B, the muscle fibers are having no bands, no dark bands are present in the muscle fibers. You can see if this muscle is smooth because it is having no dark bands or any striated marks on its fibers, for which it is known as smooth muscles, okay, or unstriated muscles. In functions they are involuntary. It means we cannot control the function of this smooth muscles or involuntary muscles, okay, for which it is known as involuntary muscles. Where do we find these muscles? We find these muscles in the lining of the blood vessels, in the lining of the intestine, stomach, iris of the eyes. Then we find it in the urinary bladder, in uterus. It means we find these muscles in the parts of the body whose movements are not under our control. Now these muscle fibers have one nucleus, you can see, for which it is also known as uninucleated. Okay, so this is all about the smooth muscles and involuntary muscles, okay, and the function of these muscles are not under our control, for which it is known as involuntary muscles. Next we come to number C. Number C is known as cardiac muscles. These cardiac muscles is exclusively present and only present in the walls of the heart, nowhere else in the body. That is, number C, cardiac muscle, is only present in the walls of the heart, and it helps the heart to beat, to move day and night, okay, thoroughly. It helps the heart to beat day and night, throughout the day and night. Now look at the body of the cardiac muscles. It is branch. See, look at the cursor. It is branch. The fibers are branched. It is having nucleus, for which it is known as nucleated or uninucleated, and it is also having some bands, dark and light bands. If you see in the body of the cardiac muscles, it is having some striped marks. Striped marks are present in the body of the cardiac muscles, for which it is also known as striated muscles because of the presence of these striated marks or striation marks. Now but in function it is involuntary. It means we cannot control the function of these muscles. We all know that we cannot control the beating of the heart, yes, right? So in function it is involuntary, but if you come to the look of this muscle, it is having striation marks like the voluntary muscles, isn't it? So this is all about the three different kinds of muscles, that is voluntary muscles, involuntary muscles and cardiac muscles. Next, here you see the details where they are present. Cardiac muscles are exclusively present in the heart, in the walls of the heart. Skeletal muscles or voluntary muscles are present all over the body, connected to the bones of the body, skeletal system of the body, and it moves according to our will. And smooth muscles or involuntary muscles do not move according to our will. It is found in such parts of the body which do not move according to our will, like in the lining of the stomach, lining of the esophagus, duodenum, lining of the intestine, etc., etc. Okay, this is all about the muscle tissue. Next we come to the nervous tissue. Nervous tissue is made up of a neuron, or nervous tissue is made up of a cell called nerve cell or neuron. Here in the picture you see the neuron, the structure of a typical neuron. A neuron has two parts. The upper circular part of the neuron is called cell body or pericardium, or we also call it cyton, or we call it soma. Now look at the parts of the cell body. The upper part of the neuron is circular, which is called cell body or cyton, and lower part of the neuron is having long thin structure which is called axon. First let us see about the cell body. Cell body have nucleus placed centrally inside the cell body, and the cell body is also filled with neuroplasm. Then you can see the cell body is having many thin branches here which are called dendrites. But before you see this, the cell body first branch into some primary branches which are thick, and these primary branches, see this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, these are first branch or primary branch of the cell body, which is known as dendron. This dendron further divides into many small and thin branches. These are thin branches of the dendrons which are called dendrites, and the nucleus is present at the center of the cell body. Okay, now see, the cell body is now processing into a long filament structure. You can see this long blue structure which is called as axon. Okay, these axon is covered or surrounded by some cells. Here you see this is one cell, this is one cell, this is one cell, this is another cell, this is another cell. So these cells are all around, means covering or around the axon. These cells are called squamous cells, and the gap in between the each squamous cells is known as node of Ranvier. Okay, node of Ranvier. And the body of the axon is covered by a thin myelinated thin sheath or thin insulating sheath which is called myelin sheath. Okay, and the end of the axon is having this branch part which is called axon ending or axon terminals. So this is the structure of a typical neuron. Next you see how the neurons are arranged in a nerve fibers. These neurons are arranged one after another like this, as you see in the picture. Okay, they are arranged one after another like this. That is, the axon terminal of the first neuron face the dendrites of the next neuron. Again, the axon of that neuron face the dendrites of the next neuron. This is how they are arranged one after another and form the nervous tissue, which ultimately form the nerve fibers or the nerves of our body. And here, which you can see in the picture, the flashlight which is traveling, these are what? These are nerve impulses. Yes, nerve tissue or nerves in our body help us in carrying nerve impulses and thus helps in sensation, perception and response in animals. Now here you see in details the function of nerve cell. Here you see the this is the flashlight, the small bright dot-like structure which is traveling. These are nerve impulses. See carefully, children. The nerve impulse is starting from the dendrites. Then it is going to the dendrons. See clearly, first is starting from the dendrites, then dendrons, then it is coming to the cell body. From the cell body it is coming to the axon. From the axon it going to the axon terminals, and when it reaches the axon terminals, it you can see the axon terminal is connected to the dendrites of the next neuron. So from axon terminal, the nerve impulse, okay, the nerve impulse jump to the dendrites. Here you see the nerve impulse jump to the dendrites of the next neuron, and again the same process, dendrites to dendron to cell body to axon terminal, and again it jump to the dendrites of the next neuron, and the same process goes on, and ultimately this is how the nerve impulses travel from one part of the body to another part and reaches the CNS. This is all about the muscle tissue and nerve tissue. Thank you. Read the chapter thoroughly.